It's crazy.
Get the attorney report out for us from the closed session meeting.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. No reportable action from closed session, and direction was given to staff from council. Thank you.
All right. Mr. Weber, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Of course I would. I'd be honored. All right. Salute. Pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of liberty and justice.
Thank you, sir. Adoption of agenda item. I'll entertain a motion for adoption of the agenda.
So moved.
I'll second.
Call roll. Call roll, please.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Presentations and proclamations. Do we have any cards tonight?
We do have cards tonight, Mr. Mayor. We have 5 submitted for public comment.
Okay.
We will begin with Ryan Williams and follow that with Janice White.
Mr. Williams, welcome.
Honorable members of the City Council, I stand before you today not just as an advocate for animal welfare, but as someone deeply invested in the well-being of our community. Both human and animal alike, the issue of pet overpopulation is not merely about shelter overcrowding or financial strain. It is a crisis of compassion, a cycle of unnecessary suffering that we have the power to break. Every year, thousands of healthy, adoptable animals are euthanized simply because there are too many and too few homes. We build bigger shelters, hire more staff, and allocate funding to temporary solutions. Yet the problem persists. Why? Because we are treating the symptoms, not the cause. To truly reduce the numbers of animals suffering in our shelters, we must shift our focus upstream. Low-cost spay and neuter programs are the most effective means to combat pet overpopulation. The math is simple. A single unspayed female cat and her offspring can produce over 400,000 kittens in just 7 years. A single pair of unaltered dogs can lead to 67,000 puppies in the same time frame. These numbers are staggering, and yet the solution is profoundly simple. Prevent the first litter, and you prevent hundreds of thousands of unwanted animals from ever being born. This is not just an animal welfare issue, it's an economic one. Sheltering and euthanizing homeless animals costs taxpayers millions of dollars annually. In contrast, funding widespread spay and neuter programs is a fraction of the cost and eliminates the need for costly reactive measures. Cities that have prioritized these programs have seen shelter intake drop by over 50%, euthanasia rates plummet, and community pet populations stabilize. This is not speculation, it is fact. Moreover, proactive legislation has proven instrumental in addressing this issue. Both Ventura County and the city of Fresno have implemented ordinances mandating the spaying and neutering of pets by 4 months of age. These measures have led to significant reductions in shelter populations and euthanasia rates, demonstrating the effectiveness of legislative action in conjunction with accessible spay and neuter services. This is why we must follow their example and enact similar legislation in our own city and county. A mandatory spay and neuter law paired with affordable, accessible programs will ensure that we are not only encouraging responsible pet ownership, but enforcing it. Such a law would drastically reduce shelter intake by preventing accidental litters before they happen, lower euthanasia rates by decreasing the numbers of unwanted pets, save taxpayer dollars by reducing the financial burden on shelters and animal control. Beyond the statistics, this is a matter of responsibility. What does it say about us as a society if we continue to allow preventable suffering to persist, or if we continue to funnel resources into a problem that we know how to solve? True leadership is not just about managing crises, it's about preventing them. By allocating funding toward low-cost and accessible spay and neuter services and implementing a mandatory spay and neuter ordinance, we'll be making a conscious choice to stop the cycle of suffering before it begins. We will choose fiscal responsibility over endless expenditures, compassion over complacency, leadership over reactive measures.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Is that a written document?
I typed it, yes.
If you're willing, would you leave a copy with our clerk so she can get it
Yes.
added to the minutes properly?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Up next, we have
Brian?
Janice White.
She'd like to give you a card.
Can we go up as a group with all the?
sure, come on up. Welcome.
Hi, Dave. Chuck, I know.
How you doing, guys?
I know some of the people on the
Yeah.
board. You've seen this before. This is about, Janice has started a bocce ball group.
Oh, okay.
And we've got the approval to put it out at the golf course. Our biggest hurdle is money. And it's not a lot of money. We need so much to build the courts initially. And then we need to build an overhead structure at some point to go along with it. I'm gonna go,
You're fine, go.
okay.
You're fine.
I know you had something to say.
No.
I know you have
no,
there was some grant for recreational purposes, building different things that you guys are using at Hewitt Park. We're looking at $60,000 to do all this. Most of it's gonna be volunteer work by contractors that are part of this group. We have at least 100 people already ready to go, want to be part of it. And Table Mountain's excited because it'll bring more people out there and I don't know whether they play bocce ball, they'll probably golf, they'll use their facility. And we're just trying to get the thing rolling. Money's always the issue with anything. And we're here today to see if we can get some money from one of your grants for recreation to help build this facility for us. And we've been here before. You guys have, we have your blessing, we have their blessing, and I'm not sure what Janice has.
Well, and it was approved last November the 7th of '23.
Yeah.
So it's been a while.
So we're here for money,
Yeah.
of a grant if we can get it. You have anything to add to that?
Well, when I came, I think I had 65 people. I've got like 86 now. So I gave you, or you made copies of what I have here, but I have additions if you'd like to make copies or just for me to hang on to them. But the interest is
Growing.
a wider range than one would imagine. People from the bocce club from Penn Valley, I talked to one of the fellows there the other day, and they're interested in coming and playing. Chico Bocce wants to come and play over here in tournaments. The courts are going to be 80 feet by 12 by 80, two of them, and they're regulation size for tournaments. So there's been a lot of interest. I have people constantly asking me, when are the courts going to get built? They want, and some people want to donate, but until we get our paperwork together, which we're working on rigorously, and we've got some help now, I think, to get it done. Not just our group, but legal help. They're anxious. They want to donate.
Okay.
So we're moving along. It seems like we're creeping along, but we just wanted to let you know that we're officially initially.
Right.
And that it was going to take just
Right,
covering,
right.
we didn't have that figured
Okay,
in. We did officially
Let's-
ask for money.
okay. Let's make sure you leave your contact information with the clerk so we can contact, and then I will make a mention to keep an eye on the supplemental benefits fund. There may be some funding coming there, and that could be a possibility, so we're all keeping an eye out for
All
whatever
right.
funding we can find.
Thank you so much.
And maybe
It's
if staff, if, I don't know if there's creative ways of helping out. Yeah,
Yeah.
if there's, so they'll look into that
Yeah.
as well.
Thank you.
If there's some way.
Thank you.
aside from-
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you. Okay.
Thank you so
Brucey.
much.
All right,
Perfect. And just for the record, I'm so sorry. Are you Ed Hopkins? Okay.
Yeah.
Want my contact?
And, well, I'm just,
part of this group.
I just
Okay.
wanted to go in order, so for public comment.
As I said before, we got a pretty good deal on concrete, which is a big expense. I have located a friend of mine that's gonna furnish all the forms and the stakes to put this thing together.
all right, good.
All we need is money and get this,
Capital cost.
yes.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sir, I'm so sorry.
Which card
The
was
one that
he?
just spoke?
Yeah.
Could you just state your name for the record?
Oh, Ron Whaler.
Ron?
Whaler, perfect.
Thank you, Ron.
Thank you. And then I do have one more card remaining for Bruce Hark.
Correct.
Perfect.
That's me. I really don't have much else to add. I'm a veteran. I'm a recent member of the city of Oroville. We moved up here in the beginning of '21. We enjoy bocce ball. We joined the committee that Janice and Ron and Ed have put together. And like I say, we just reiterate the need for that recreational space. We've been to meetings with the folks at the golf course, and they are advocates for it as well. So we just would love some support and some help in making it a reality, and then we'll manage the club, as it were, from there on out. Thank you for your time.
Thank
very
you,
much.
appreciate it.
Mr. Mayor, we have one card remaining, and that's Bill Spear.
Mr. Spear, welcome. Thank you, gentlemen and ladies.
Our city council. Verse of the day was Psalms 103, verse 2, but I'm going to read 4 verses in there because it's just too good to just stick with verse 2.
We need a chapter.
Bless the Lord, O my soul, and all that is within me. Bless his holy name. Verse 2. Bless the Lord, O my soul, and forget not all his benefits. Who forgives all your iniquities, who heals all your diseases, who redeems your life from destruction, who crowns you with loving kindness and tender mercies. Pretty awesome stuff. Anyways, I'd like to pray for y'all.
Thank you.
Lord, as we bless the Lord and we don't forget all your benefits, we are so grateful and thankful for your word and the power of your word. And we speak it over our city. We speak it over our city council. We ask your blessings upon them, Lord, that you would give them supernatural wisdom, supernatural guidance. Lord, that you would give us supernatural provision. Lord, the bocce court, Lord, as they come with their petition, Lord, and Lord, you provide needs for your people. And I pray for our community, Lord, that there would be an overflowing, an abundance of your goodness and your grace because we come to you, because we seek you, because we call on your name. Your word says if we ask, we will receive. If we seek, we will find. If we knock, the door will be open. And so we come again this evening, asking and seeking and knocking for an outpouring of your spirit, for you to be glorified, that we don't forget where our blessings come from. We don't forget what you've brought us through and where you're taking us to. We pray that you would continue to bless the Church of Oroville, bless all the service groups of Oroville, bless the servants that serve, the police and the fire, the code enforcement. Bless all of the service groups. Bless our rescue mission, and thank you for them and for their years of faithfulness, not growing weary or stopping. The Hope Center, so many wonderful organizations. Thank you for our Chamber of Commerce. Thank you for the Exchange Club. Thank you for this spring and summer and all the festivities that are going to go forth. And we pray that you would use this city, that you would make us that light on a shelf, that city on a hill, that it would glorify you. We thank and praise you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Any more cards?
That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
That's it, all right. Public communications, which we just finished. We don't have any presentations tonight. Reports, council announcements and reports. Council, any announcements to make?
Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, no,
Go ahead.
okay,
Are you doing Esperanza?
good. We can tandem on that, yes.
So just some exciting news about Mission Esperanza. They're getting closer to a grand opening date, happening in late April. They are at the point where they had FFA students from Las Plumas High School come in and start doing some landscaping. And they were just awarded a CalAIM program, which is going to be bringing in roughly $150,000 a month in revenue for service provisions, which is amazing. They are still looking for avenues of permanent housing for recuperative care for the homeless individuals being released from local area hospitals. But other than that, the mission is expecting to do a grand opening towards the end of the month, and they are just continuing to move forward. We are really excited about this happening. So stand by for more. Miss Janet?
It can't happen soon enough, and I just wanted to give kudos to our councilman, Sean Weber, who is installing the carpet in the office.
Nobody was supposed to know that.
Oh,
I'm not.
I'm
It was just, I don't know why they put that. I'm just trying to help them out.
well, you're a big part of it, so we just appreciate you. Don't be so humble.
No. Okay.
Vice Mayor Smith is in the queue.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And it's Fight the Bite season. I'm on the Vector Control Board because the squeatos are coming. But in that meeting, I learned something that I didn't know, that if you have an event, a large-scale event, they will fog the area as a free service. And I also learned that
Nice.
some of the large events that we have, like whether it's Feather Fiesta Days or Salmon Festival, that they monitor that stuff, and they actually go out the night before and fog
Wow.
as a preventative to keep the public safe. So I just thought,
Good
thank you, Vector
information.
Control Board, for
Thank
doing a
you.
good job for all of us.
It's nice.
Councilman Reynolds is in the queue.
I've been sitting here wrestling whether this was appropriate or not, but family's been notified, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. We lost a citizen today who was just an icon in the city, and a lifelong friend of mine, and a strong Christian, and an amazing patriot. And we all knew him as Whitey, Moss Rock Whitey. And, but his name was Keith Sheehan. And he's just an amazing individual, and he's already sorely missed. So if we could just have a few seconds of silence, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other councils? Looking around the room. Department heads. You want to start over there?
Sure, I have a quick update. The Highway 162 project that the city has been involved with is reaching its conclusion. I believe they had some weather delays recently, but I believe it's going to be, if all goes well, it could be wrapped up this week. And I'm looking at Alyssa to make sure I don't misspeak on that one. But this was, and then I did want to put it out there, and I've spoken to a number of council members, and I've actually had a couple of other events I spoke at. I did mention that we learned that Caltrans is having some issues. They were supposed to follow up and do the road project itself this summer. They're having some issues, and they're telling us now it's going to be delayed until next spring, but we are meeting, the mayor and Councilmember Weber reached out to Caltrans. We're going to have a meeting on Monday with them to try to see if anything can be done to push this along, and worst case, if it can't be expedited, we're going to advocate really hard for some repairs where they are needed, because there are some spots out there that are going to really struggle, I think, for another winter. So just wanted to put it on the radar that there are some potential delays with that, but we're doing everything we can to try to mitigate them.
So I have a question. I'm not verbiage savvy on how to ask this, but what can the city do in the interim, like some superficial repair?
You know, there's some spots, I know Alyssa and I were actually looking at the road from this Google Earth, and she's actually, I know we were talking about driving around, taking some pictures, but we're going to provide Caltrans with some images, and some of the intersections where the damage is pretty significant, and frankly, some of it's on city, so we're going to need to do some work there, because it's just, we don't have the exact where the property lines are at, but there's some that it's kind of right on the cusp of, it could be Caltrans, it could be city, but regardless, if we can get our team out there to do some repairs, because there's some areas that are frankly pretty close to gravel.
Sorely, yes. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Over here, which side of the room? Mr.
Sean.
Oh, I'm sorry, Councilman Weber.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a comment on that just briefly, because when I found out by accident that they were not going to be doing it this year, and immediately just thought, well, how could we do something to, because the road is in such poor shape that we got to do something. So I'm glad that Caltrans responded to the request for a meeting, and I'm anxious to get down there and do this meeting. I'm glad the mayor responded as well, because we gotta give our constituency something. And the fact that it's a highway and we can't touch it is just so frustrating for all of us, because we all drive it. We all come across the bridge over the river, and we have to hit that area right before the, overpass, and it's just so tore up. Or turning left onto Feather River Boulevard, right in front of AMPM between Maverick there. And so what a lot of people don't understand is that they also own the road, but they own like certain amount of feet from the intersection down the road as well. And correct me if I'm wrong, Alyssa, but is it like 100 feet or 75 feet or?
It just depends, but I don't think it's usually that far.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because you could clearly see there's a line right there in that one place I'm talking about by Maverick and AMPM.
Yep.
It goes from really rough to better, and that's where we've been servicing
Right.
it. So, so we got to get something. They got to give us something, and that's what we're hoping for. Just so for you in the audience, and for you that may be watching on YouTube, we're going to try to get something done. We don't know what's going to come of it though. So, and thank you, Brian, for helping get that across the finish line.
One of the things I think we need to remind them of is part of the reason the road's damaged is during the damage to the spillway.
Spillway.
That roadway was heavily used.
Yes.
24 hours a day for a period of time, and there was exceedingly higher use rate than anybody would ever imagine, so, which was part of the grant to get the money to fix it, but at the same time, we're still suffering, so hopefully we'll stir some wheels, maybe. Anybody on this side of the room? Amy, Ruth? No? Oh, a week or so.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll look forward.
good
We'll look
news.
forward to things in a week.
Yes.
Mr. Belser.
Regarding when the spillway incident happened, I was working graveyard shift, and I would sit at near Ore Dam in Lincoln, and I would count as high as 90 semis an hour coming through there.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It was
crazy.
it was
with equipment,
excessive.
materials, it was
Yeah.
tough on the roads. I got some March stats for code enforcement. We opened 49 new cases and closed 43. Towed 9 abandoned hazardous vehicles, 1 building code violation, 9 graffiti cases, 3 multifamily cases, 6 public nuisance cases, 1 substandard case, and 1 commercial case. I was tasked with looking into the status of vacant buildings in the downtown area. I've emailed you all the Excel spreadsheet that has the 38 businesses that were investigated. Some letters went out. We have contact information for the owners. Hopefully, this will help the DBA in trying to get the wheels turning on getting some business down there. And so there's a lot of contact information in there, status of the buildings, whether letters were sent out, whether there's violations or not with the building. If there was any type of violation, there were notices sent to the property owner to abate the issue. So that was emailed to you, and you guys can review that and check it out and check out the numbers. It's pretty interesting. Other than that, let's see, April 12th at 9 in the morning until 12 p.m., we'll have another tire amnesty event. It'll be, people will be able to bring people from the city limits of Oroville, and you will be identified to see if you are from our city limits. At the Public Works Yard at 655 Cal Oak. And the rules and regulations will be on the flyer. You can't haul more than 9 vehicle tires at one time. Let's consider commercial after that. But we will be open April 12th, 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. taking in tires. And that's all part of the Cal Recycle tire amnesty grant that we applied for last year. This is the second portion of it.
Excellent. Nice, very nice. Thank you. Patrick? There you go. No?
It's a lot of fuss to say I don't have anything this week.
How's Alyssa? Well, you're going to talk to us later too, so.
A little bit later, yeah. I have other items to bring up. We have an accepted offer for a new museum curator. So,
excellent.
yep, they're hopefully starting at the end of this month. Next meeting, I'll be bringing the contract for the Washington and Table Mountain preliminary engineering. I was hoping to get that to you this week, but just didn't happen. Or, next meeting also will be the Corp Yard design build contract.
Good.
Lot home painting is starting this week. So if we don't see mobilization by the end of the week, it'll be Monday for sure.
Okay.
Just waiting on some submittals, so it just depends on how fast they can turn them around. Layman Construction repaired a 12-inch, we had another culvert problem on Long Bar. So literally almost in the same day, they were able to complete all the work. They were able to get the pothole that was in the street, which was basically a collapsed culvert. Luckily, it was just a 12-inch. It wasn't like the big 48-inch ones that we've been seeing, but that was a very quick turnaround. It was repaired basically within 24 hours. So that was fantastic. Tree City USA application was approved. This is an update from Wade. He's been coordinating with State Forester Evan Jones, and he's been invited to Orville for input on grant funding, and there's more to come on that, which is great. Also, ongoing analysis for the in-house pavement program that Sean's been interested in, so we will be running additional numbers. We've been looking at it pretty thoroughly, so we should have something for you very soon. As far as March paving, 172 tons were placed. This is more than usual for the city, so we're really kind of testing out this potential pavement program, which is about 14,000 square feet of coverage. So think about 7 2,000 square foot homes, as far as pavement.
It looks good, too.
Yeah. 2 new park techs started yesterday in the Parks
right.
Department.
Cool.
And as far as out at the airport, there's a bid opening for runway 1331 remarking in a couple days, the 3rd. And then also, hopefully, next meeting, we'll have the Branley agreement. So it's an airport engineering contract will be presented to you as well.
All right, thank you. Any
That's all I
questions?
I have a question for Mr. Belser. So I just opened up your spreadsheet for the downtown vacant buildings. Can you duplicate that for buildings that have been vacant on South Side? And I think it's time that we had an update what's going on with the owners.
Sure.
And how we can expedite that same process. as this.
Absolutely.
Thank you, appreciate that.
All right. With all that being said, we can move to the consent calendar. Interested in someone making a motion or any comments for the consent calendar? Questions?
I move that we approve the consent calendar.
I'll second.
All right.
Call the roll, please. Do we have any cards on the consent calendar?
We do not, sir.
Okay, just checking, thank you. All right.
Motion passes unanimously.
Item number 7 is next, regular business, project prioritization criteria. Alyssa. Yeah. Yeah, that probably works better. Yeah. I like the graphics.
Template out of PowerPoint. Don't be too impressed by that.
It's colorful.
I am
Gotta be a
very,
good politician. Take credit for it and don't say where it came from.
Yes.
I'm just very excited to, this has been something I've been working on for several months now, intermittently, just trying to wrap my head around the best approach. And I realized we needed something like this when I first started, and there are 7 of you, and you all have different priorities. Staff also have their own priorities for projects, and you know what? All of them are important. So it was really hard to know what to focus on, really, from the get-go, because every project is critical in its own right, from South Side improvements and drainage and even the flagpole that you're wanting, so everything has its importance to each one of us. But we only have so many staff and we only have so many dollars. And so with the resource limitations that we have, I needed a way of trying to prioritize the projects that you've asked for, and so that we know how to really prioritize our time. So with that said, I'm going to go over, this is kind of just an overview of where we're headed. I'll talk about the projects at a very high level. So that we'll talk dollars and how many there are, that kind of thing. I already kind of briefly went over the need for prioritization, so I got ahead of myself. Recommended criteria for how we'd like to prioritize these. So really that's the meat of this presentation. It's not to go over and identify every single project. This meeting is really to get your buy-in and your feedback on the criteria that I am proposing we use in order to prioritize these projects. And it does matter. It matters the criteria we choose, and it matters how we weight them. So you'll see what I'm talking about as we go, but it does in fact change the order of how we identify which projects are at the top of our list. And then, like I said, council feedback on that. So here's our overview. Number of projects by district. There are 68 projects, so you're going to look at these and think, these don't add up to 68. Well, it's because there are multiple projects in different districts. So some of the projects overlap. So if you're wondering, all the projects that affect District A, there's 27 of them. Okay, so that's just how to read this. But there are only 68 projects total. The coloring is the amount that we've estimated each project to cost roughly. So for the teal you're looking at, there's about 4 to 5. It looks like it ranges from 3 to 5 projects that are going to be under $75,000. So these are a little easier to accomplish. They don't cost quite as much. You'll see there the range also is 75 to 220, and then anything over 220 is in pink. The reason for these dollar amounts has to do with law, where anything under 75,000, we can actually sole source contractors to do work, and anything between 75 and 220, we can do an informal bid, so it helps us to be able to expedite how quickly these projects can be turned around. Anything over $220,000 will require full formal bid, which means staff are putting together a full request for proposal. We have a several week waiting period, and then we see what we get. So that's high level there. Here's our estimated project cost by district. So it's really hard to read there, but essentially all the projects combined, so if we add up, and this is very high level, this is me just putting very general estimates together, but it does incorporate construction, consultants, and staff time. So I have incorporated all of those items in the costs you're seeing. So all of them added together, $128,000, so just shy of 130 million, excuse me. Yep, $130 million. But the numbers there do overlap as well. So just like you saw the slide before, the costs for like District A, can overlap with District B, District C.
Okay, let me ask a question. I think it's District C. What is that? Is it Ishii School? Is that in District C? It's in
D.
It's in D?
Yeah.
That's your district? Are there, yes, is that included in that figure?
Yes.
I just can't barely see it.
21
What does
million.
it say?
21 million.
128.
Yeah.
It's kind of low. Okay.
There aren't that many projects in D, so it takes up most of them.
Oh, okay, that's why.
Yep.
All right, thank you.
So why is this important? I've already I briefly talked about this. Something like this, a program or a system like this will optimize our resource allocation. We have, like I said, only so many dollars and only so many staff. There are 2 engineers on staff. and there are 68 projects. So we are struggling with just project management in general. I also think something like this will improve our decision-making. When we have to make the decision on which grant we go for or which project should we go for which grant, this will help us decide we need to focus on our high priority projects. And they're all important. It's just there are some that are going to be high priority than others. I believe this will also help us maximize our impact that we have on the city by focusing our attention on our high priority projects. It also will facilitate communication with stakeholders. This is not just the public or you or even internal staff as far as which projects we're working on, but also with our local utility companies where we need to partner with them so that they know which projects are coming and we can coordinate if utility relocates need to be done ahead of time. Or for example, Scott had mentioned before we did the Myers Montgomery project, we needed to coordinate with the utilities. We don't want them trenching into a road that is just recently completed. So the things like this, if we have a plan that shows and projects projects out, this will help us communicate that to them. Helps us with our long-term planning. The city, as you know, has turnover. And having a system like this in place will help, I think, keep the city on track so that new staff aren't starting over. This will improve project execution. When we are not focused on 68 projects at once, when we're focused on 20, we can get them done quicker than if we're distracted and pulled in too many different directions. All right. And then also, this increases our likelihood of grant funding because we will come prepared. We will know which projects we're going after. All right. So here's the criteria that we've gotten it narrowed down to. So the executive committee has seen this already. There were 15 criteria in total initially. There are now, we've narrowed it down to 11. And by narrowing it, we really just combined. We kind of consolidated. So for example, item 2 there, public safety and resilience, those were 2 separate line items. We combined them. So real quickly, urgency. I'm going to have my notes here, so I'm going to read this, and I apologize. It focuses on how critical it is to address the project now. So that's what urgency is going to talk about. It could relate to time-sensitive issues such as deteriorating infrastructure, imminent risk, or regulatory deadlines. Higher urgency means quicker action is needed. For public safety and resilience, it assesses the project's role in ensuring public safety, minimizing risks to residents, enhancing the city's ability to recover from natural disasters or other disruptive events. Item 3, community and economic benefit. Evaluates how the project will impact the community in terms of improving quality of life, creating job opportunities, supporting economic growth, and enhancing community well-being. Item 4 is cost. This considers the financial investment required for the project, including both initial capital and long-term operational costs. It'll often involve assessing whether the project fits within budget constraints or if additional funding sources are needed. Excuse me. I need both hands here. All right, and item 5, feasibility, focuses on whether the project is realistic and achievable based on available resources, existing conditions, and timelines. It also considers technical and operational challenges that could affect execution. Equity and accessibility examines how the project addresses issues of social equity and ensures access for all groups, particularly underserved or vulnerable populations. This category ensures that the project benefits everyone in the community, regardless of background or ability. Item 7, environmental impact and sustainability assesses the project's effects on the environment, including resource use, waste, emissions, and biodiversity. It also considers long-term sustainability, including whether the project promotes green practices or mitigates negative environmental effects. Compliance ensures the project meets or identifies if the project is needed to meet all legal, regulatory, and policy requirements, including zoning laws, environmental regulations, and state federal mandates. 9, Risk if the project is not done. So I look at this in terms of risk is what would happen if this isn't done, right? Examines potential negative consequences of not undertaking the project. Could include safety hazards, regulatory noncompliance, or worsening community issues that might have long-term impacts. 10 is public health, focuses on how the project will impact the physical and mental health of the community. This includes reducing health risks, improving access to healthcare, and promoting healthy living environments. And traffic and congestion relief assesses the project's potential to improve traffic flow, reduce congestion, or enhance transportation infrastructure. This category can focus on both short-term and long-term improvements to mobility and accessibility. So, any questions on
I
those?
wonder why we didn't put number 10, public health. Do we have a conversation about that? Public health with public safety? And I was just curious, did we talk about that? Do you recall?
We talked about all of them, yeah. I don't know if we combined them, but it's.
Seems like they would go hand in
Yeah.
hand.
It can. So public health to me focuses on adding
What
like
is it?
additional trails or park enhancements
For
to help
wellness?
people. Yep, to get people up
Public
and
health
moving.
wellness,
Okay.
Sure, and it's
Yeah.
not
Now I
really directly
understand.
related with public
Right.
safety.
Okay, thanks
makes
for the
sense, yeah.
clarification.
Sure. Okay, so that's our proposed scoring methodology. We have our criteria, then we weight that criteria. We have our scale, we score it, and then we get a project total score. It's pretty straightforward, pretty simple. So based on that, urgency, we considered to be important. So this needed to be weighted higher. All of these categories were rated 1 through 5. Urgency and public safety are now 1 out of 10. So they'll get a score essentially if it's really, really urgent. It's double. It's weighted double what the other category criteria are. So how we would rate this, and you can see the idea is to have criteria that is not subjective, but objective. It should be very data-driven. So it's clear on the number of years. You know, we have to really think realistically about this. Can this project be deferred indefinitely without any real negative consequences? It gets a 1 if that's true. As opposed to a 10, if it needs to be initiated immediately to avoid high consequence impacts like loss of life, that's a 10. And then you'll see the rankings are somewhere in between. If it can be delayed for 2 to 3 years, then you're looking at these other additional numbers in between. All right. Public safety and resilience. 1, no impact on public safety versus a 10. And I'm not going to go through all of these lines. You have the spread or the presentation. 10 is a key initiative that directly averts a crisis. Okay. Community and economic benefit. No measurable versus transformational. So we're looking at affecting over 50% of the population for it's scoring a 5 on community and economic benefit. For cost, here's our metric here. It's a 1 if it's more than $1 million or there is no funds budgeted for it. Okay, and then a 5 if it's less than 75 and or funds are completely allocated. So there may be projects where we have complete funding, but that are over $1 million, and it'll still score a 5. All right, whether it's feasible or not. Does the project face major technical, financial, regulatory barriers? It's not going to score high on this. If it's very feasible or there's no significant challenges or obstacles, we can move forward. Let's get this at the top of the list. Equity and accessibility. Project disproportionately benefits high income or majority groups. Maybe that doesn't rank very high. But if there are high equity and accessibility components, then it will rank higher in this category. Environmental impact. Project will result in significant long-term environmental harm. High carbon emissions, destruction of ecosystems, it won't rank high here. A 5 would be very high environmental sustainability, leads to substantial improvements in environmental preservation. Okay, compliance. Similarly here, there's kind of a recurring theme. Project has no relation to regulatory compliance, doesn't affect it at all as a 1, versus a 5, the project exceeds current regulatory requirements. So basically, we set a new standard for compliance. That's a 5. Risk. Very low risk if the project is not completed, little to no consequence if it's delayed or canceled. 5, very high risk if the project is not completed. Failure to execute could result in catastrophic consequences, legal penalties, environmental disaster, severe safety hazards, or a significant loss of public trust. Public health. The project has direct negative impact on public health, increases pollution, public exposure to harmful substances, versus a 5, very high positive impact. Project addresses major public health concerns, significantly reducing risks and improving overall health outcomes. Traffic and congestion reliefs is our final one. No impact. Project either worsens traffic or really has no measurable effect on congestion, versus, this is a very high impact, major reduction in congestion. I think of the light at Acacia. This is terrible. Okay. I know. It's on the list. So, using this criteria, and I'm going to say this with the caveat that these are subject to change because I am the only one that has scored these. But the idea is I would like for me, Tim Kaber, as well as the Public Works managers. That's the team that I expect will be scoring these. I just didn't want them to go through that whole process if we were going to change criteria, because then they'd have to do it again. So they will be looking at this. If you are good with this criteria, they'll be taking a look at how I've ranked it and having a discussion. Exactly.
Well,
So top 10.
Let me add too, that this was presented to the executive committee, and we actually narrowed this down, believe it or not, in a very long meeting. So
2 hours.
Yeah, it was, but the detail here is nicely specific, but yet also flexible. So if something changes, here's the project, something changes like a failure or something, then obviously it can get moved up on the list and the priority changes. So
Yes,
yeah,
this is a
that's-
living, breathing
exactly.
document.
That's a better word. Living document, yeah.
Yes, very fluid. So our top 10 is our Riverbend apartment drainage issue.
Yeah.
Yep, our Caltrans CAP-M project coordination. This is the SR 162 follow-up with Caltrans. Our storm drain behind Mugshots. This consumes a lot of staff time during emergencies, and we can't have this area flooding in downtown. Our sewer lift stations, so we need emergency pumping bypass. If those fail, it's putting sewage into the river. Sewer lift station modernization. Our Montgomery roundabout, this is a critical intersection that many people use, and it needs to stay functional. Ishii Middle School, Complete Streets project. This is adding sidewalks in front of Ishii Middle School, maybe adding a turn lane. Citywide ADA compliance baseline study, so we need to, this is for compliance. That one scored high due to compliance with Caltrans and getting grant funding. Table Mountain Boulevard sidewalk railing, this scored high just due to its safety component.
Right.
Foothill storm drain replacement. This is a very large storm drain. I want to say, I think it's over 40, I think it's about 4 feet in diameter. The last time we inspected it, it's doing things very similar to what we're seeing where we've had failed culverts. So we need to address this one soon. Our 11 through 20, I'm not going to go through all of them. This is just top 10, and then 11 through 20 is our medium ones. Argonaut Basin, over this winter, there was some piping going on, and piping means it's when there's like a little bit of water coming out the front face. So we need to address that. Bird Street, ADA and traffic improvements. We're looking at downtown and maybe improving ADA and traffic flow through there. We've had some requests for additional stops, just for safety purposes. Our public safety building number 2, that's out off of Challenger. We're looking at potentially adding a fire and police building at that spot. Yep.
It's called the Tracy Building.
Drainage behind Stanford Elementary School right now. This one scored high because it's one of those low-lying ones that aren't going to cost a lot, but it's going to have a pretty big impact. Right now, a lot of the drainage just goes right into their field, and they can't use it for a good chunk of the year. Drainage improvements at Lincoln and Myers. There's flooding here because how the trash trucks catch debris and then it pushes water up over onto the road. Same with Larkin Road. There's a lot, you'll find there's a theme of drainage improvements needed Larkin Road drainage improvements, Grand Avenue at Table Mountain Boulevard intersection. That one has drainage problems as well. Drainage issue at Montgomery Street and Feather River Boulevard intersection. Oro Banger Highway drainage between Burlington and Spencer. And then also Oro Dam Boulevard East slope stabilization. There's that stretch where it's pretty steep slopes, and so there's rocks and things that land right on Oro Dam Boulevard East, and so we're trying to figure out how to stabilize that slope. So those are your top 20. Here's where they're at, project status. 3% are in a closeout phase. 7% are in a construction phase. 56% of them haven't been started. One of them is on hold, and 32% are in planning. So what's next? We will start by actioning and planning our top priority projects. So assuming we can proceed with the criteria as presented, we will begin scheduling those projects, top ones. We will also be looking at our resource and scheduling alignment. So yes, we have these high priority projects. Do we have the resources to fund them or make them happen? So we'll be taking a look at that as well. And then we'll make adjustments based on changing circumstances. Just like we said, this is fluid. And was that it? Oh yeah, here we go. Council input and feedback. So my suggestion to you is just to review the list of projects in your district. That came in your packet. I'm not presenting that right now, but in the agenda packet there, I split out all of those projects that were specific to your district. So if you have additional projects that didn't land on the list, but you know that they're there, those are just the ones that I was aware of. So if you have additional projects, we need to get those added. And then also just take a look at the criteria and really give it a good thought, because how we weight it does change, how we prioritize them.
Councilman Weber has a question.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, when we met a couple weeks back and you showed me this on your computer screen,
Yes.
This is so much better than this presentation is. It was good then, right?
I think you just saw the spreadsheet itself.
Yeah, that's all I've seen. So this just put it into further context, just really,
Okay.
and it shows the need for what you've done here. So I just wanted to say that I don't have any other comment other than this. Bravo, good job, excellent work. It was exactly what I was hoping that we were already going to see anyway. I had kind of had expectations that something like this was in place when I got on council, and there wasn't. But for you to do this in the short amount of time you've done this with the team that you have in such a concise way is brilliant. So I couldn't be more thrilled with this council's decision to hire you in this position. Thank you for accepting the position, because it's very evident by the work you put in here that we're going to have a very, very good forward-thinking plan that will be extremely beneficial for every single district represented on this dais right here. Thank you so much.
Sure, thank you.
Councilman Johnstone's up next.
Thank you. Yeah, what Sean said, I am just extremely happy about this. I think that we should have had something like this in place a long time ago. I think that I don't know how you are able to keep track of everything without this in place. So kudos to you. I look forward to meeting with you on all of our projects. By the way, my district just happens to be a lot wider and longer than everybody else's district. That's why my projects are so much more, okay? Thank you.
It's true. Yeah.
Good job.
Thanks, Tracy.
Yeah, next up, and what my suggestion is, I would recommend that each councilman cut and paste this presentation and put it in their laptop computer to have in reference. Because as constituents talk to us about projects, and we all have every value and everyone's particular concerns about a project, you also can put that in this thing and show the value of that project to the others. And our list is long and deleterious, and just in the pavement program alone, we saw, if we wanted a perfect pavement tomorrow, it'd be about 156 million or something like that. So it puts it in perspective. So I would recommend everyone cut and paste this into a laptop to have on a quick availability. And, great job. It's a perfect way to see what projects are there. And in my time with the city, I don't think I've ever seen such a document. So your compliments.
Great. Well, and I'll brief you on like a little sneak peek. So eventually, what I didn't present is the actual spreadsheet itself, but I'm using a software called Smartsheet, and it allows us to have like dashboards so that you can be looking at this and it can be published. So we can have it on our website and people can look at
That's
it.
really cool, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. I was gonna, that was something that I was going to ask about. was-
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we'd like to make sure, we're trying to improve communication with the public and with you and with each other. Yeah.
Great idea. Councilman Thompson's in the
Thank you. Just one amazing presentation. I'm not surprised. You're awesome. I appreciate all you do. One question as far as, I guess maybe we can bring it up later with council, but regarding the speed bumps, I still have council, I'm not sure if there's any speed bumps that are on this. that I didn't look close
I
enough.
haven't seen speed bumps. Did you have a specific location?
Yeah, well, if I had my way, there'd be quite a few all over.
Oh, I see. You mean like the speed tables?
Speed tables.
Okay, okay,
Yeah, especially on Oro Quincy.
okay. I see what you're saying.
I know we brought that up before because there's just a lot of, people still bypass 162 and they treat it like a highway. And, I mean, they're flying up and down that. I know downtown, I know with the narrowing of Montgomery, but from my understanding from constituents, they're still on the side streets quite a bit that tables would help a
Okay.
little bit. but-
So if there's a specific, item in your district, then
Quincy,
come,
or
come
Quincy.
and talk
I'll
to
talk
me
you.
and, yeah,
I'll
perfect.
talk to you and we'll get them in.
We'll get it on the list.
We'll back that truck up.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alyssa.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, item number 8, general plan progress report for review by the Planning Commission, the City Council, and the Governor's Office of Land Use and Climate Innovation. Welcome, Wes.
Thank you.
What do we have tonight?
This is your general plan.
All right.
It is the Bible and the Constitution of the city of Oroville. No, that's often claimed, and that's what the planning folks say.
There you go.
Can I borrow that for Sunday?
All right, so
King James Version?
this is a report that is due to the state. The governor's office used to be called the Governor's Office of Planning and Research. Now it's Land Use and Climate Innovation. Every April 1st, it's due to that entity. Oroville has not submitted a report since 2015, when this general plan was updated approved. Half of the jurisdictions in the state don't do it typically, so there's no sanctions for not doing it. It must be presented to the Planning Commission and the City Council. It went to the Planning Commission last Thursday. And some of the things in this report are to assess the health and relevance of the general plan. It's 10 years now since it was adopted. Report on any changes, evaluate compliance with state law, and when to begin the next update. And there's a recommendation in here about when to do that. Next slide. Oops, I got it. All right. The general plan has a vision statement. It's quite lengthy and lofty. Oroville will be a thriving, full-service community where residents enjoy a high quality of life and can find well-paying jobs. They will have a good choice of housing. They will have safe, beautiful neighborhoods and community parks, pedestrian and bicycle trails, and Oroville will be a place people are proud to call home and will visit frequently. So that is your vision. I mentioned that this got presented to the Planning Commission last Thursday. They listened to it, made some recommendations. Just to remind you that the Planning Commission is a key advisory body to this City Council, recommends changes to the general plan, recommends zoning changes, and approves discretionary projects and such. It is also the Historic Advisory Committee. The Planning Commission does the heavy lifting when it comes to the general plan and zoning and such. The general plan has 6 mandatory elements. Those are asterisked: land use, circulation, transportation, open space, safety, noise, and housing. And as you know, the housing element is separately on an 8-year renewal cycle. And in 2023, you approved the housing element, and it's been submitted, and Amy is the keeper of the housing element. This general plan has a community design element, an economic development element, public facilities and services, and the next update, whenever we do that, we'll have to add an environmental justice component. I'm being a little bit more detailed because the general plan isn't often invoked or talked about or used generally in the public. Very often it's one of these kind of hidden gems that us planners have to deal with every day. This is our land use map. It includes not only the city limits, but it includes the sphere of influence and the planning area. Our planning area includes almost all the urban area around the city and such. If you have any specific questions, I'm not going to go into that.
One quick question I have is, I noticed in one of the maps on Appendix E, there's a mention of industrial unit number 2. I think we identified industrial unit number 3 as being everything south of Ophir Road a long time ago. And I don't know if it ever got on the maps.
Yeah, it's coming up.
Okay, all right, thank you.
This is our zoning map. A lot of people, including myself, thinks this looks like a horse in a tuxedo, shaped like that, with a mouse on its back. So that's kind of a common theme. All the purple area is our industrial zoning, and as you can see, it goes south of Ophir there. And that's the pants of the tuxedo.
Gotcha.
And you can also see the orange line along Oro Dam Boulevard and Olive Highway, and that is our corridor mixed use zoning. So that's our kind of our heavy commercial area. This is the economic study areas or important areas. I think that's what you were talking about, Appendix E. Yes, this is in the general plan this way as economic focus areas, but yes, we have done a lot of work and are working south there into the bottom. Every element has goals, policies, and actions, which this body has adopted in 2015. This is an example from the land use element. The goal is to provide for orderly, well-planned, and balanced growth consistent with the limits imposed by infrastructure and the city's ability to assimilate new growth. It's very broad, gives us a lot of flexibility. A policy under that is to ensure that new development conforms to current land use and zoning designations. And then an action under that is to review and revise as necessary a development code to ensure its consistency with the general plan. Every project that the city reviews, that the Planning Commission reviews, that the staff review, we have to make sure that it is consistent with the general plan. And we have to make sure the zoning code is consistent with the general plan. And that's why we bring to you from time to time changes in both general plan and zoning code. There are also a number of overlay districts. The ones on the left are in the general plan, the Foothill, Professional Office, Arts, Culture, and Entertainment, Oro Bay specific plan, which was 2,400 homes west of the airport, which the city actually approved and executed a development agreement back in 2009, I believe it was. And it never finished its annexation process. And then the recession happened and the proponent went away and this project didn't happen, but it is still out there. The Rio de Oro specific plan is developing Highway 70 south and west of Ophir Road, all the way down to Dingerville on that side of the highway. That's a specific plan that's in our general plan that's never come to fruition. And then the South Ophir specific plan. We also have in our zoning code hillside, downtown historic overlays, mini storage overlay, and a couple of planned development overlays, PDOs, or often PUDs in other jurisdictions, planned unit developments, which has its own set of specific development requirements that can, if you set that up, deviate from the normal zoning code. The Martin Ranch is I think it's a 200 and some odd R1 zoned housing project on North Table Mountain, the north end of our city limits. And the Vets Housing one is the project that this council approved at 711 Montgomery with a specific condominium project. A lot of other documents that are relevant to the general plan and to the work we do in planning. Zoning code, of course, is the workhorse. We're always checking to make sure a project meets its required zoning. We have allowable use tables and such that we use all the time. Design guidelines, climate action plan, bicycle transportation plan, local hazard mitigation plan, which was just approved here, and several other master plans. What has happened since 2015 to our general plan? Well, we had a recession, we had COVID, we had a lot of pauses in investment and new development. So there have actually been few demographic and economic changes in our city since 2015. We've always hovered between 18 and 20,000 people, roughly, in our city limits. Another 28,000 or so in our urban area in Thermalito and Kelly Ridge and other locations. Few new policy changes in our general plan. We've had 4 annexations. We've had 11 general plan amendments, and none of them have been particularly earth-shattering. The 2 probably most significant are the updating of the circulation element last year for the requirement to add vehicle miles traveled as our general plan guideline rather than level of service in our circulation element. The engineering and public works do use the general plan, and other departments and divisions do that as well. And then updating the safety element, which we just did. So after 10 years, the general plan is still in good shape. Doesn't need to be really overhauled. It's still an active and very useful document. The classic update timeline for a general plan is about 15 to 20 years. And so we can even wait till 2028 to start our next overhaul of the general plan, unless, of course, this council or the Planning Commission decide that it needs changing before that. The process of updating the general plan is about a 2 to 3 year process in my experience. Involves a lot of consultant time, about $500,000 in cost, some of which is typically reimbursed by the state, and lots of public meetings and such. So this is a recommendation here. Moving forward, there are some recommendations that staff has made about changes to the general plan. Consulting it more often, making it a more public and visible document to decision makers and the public. We're getting a lot of interest for commercial development around the Walmart. And there's a lot of M2 zoning down there, and so we might want to consider changing some of that to commercial, heavy commercial. Global rezoning of South Side, which we've been talking about for quite a while. There's a lot of commercial zoning in there where housing exists, and the area would benefit from neighborhood mixed-use zoning down there. There's 2,500 homes that were approved prior to the general plan being adopted, and all of those are reflected in the general plan and the zoning code. Be nice to get more of those built. Improving bicycle and pedestrian flow throughout the city. The Planning Commission's starting to talk about that a lot. And then there's several others that we can go over. Planning Commission did provide some input. Their office overlay is restricting residential development a bit, so we want to tweak that. Adjusting zoning in the west part of the downtown, near and around Montgomery and Feather River. There's some commercial zoning in there, which has been stressful to some of the residences down there. And then they have asked for a package of proposed changes every 6 months or so, so that we can do this on a much more regular basis rather than waiting 10 years. And then strengthening the fire-safe landscape requirements and offering incentives, and maybe that would tweak the foothill and the hillside overlays. So that's my presentation. Any comments, thoughts, suggestions?
Got it before you did. Quick question I have, and one of the difficulties that's going on with many of in fact, our home sales in the city of Warrenville has dropped off quite a bit. And I've had talks with some of the real estate folks, and one of the things that seems to be hitting us in particular is the fire insurance issue. To, limiting the sale, because when they get the quotes for the fire insurance coverage on the new home, it might even exceed the mortgage, value. So it's causing a lot of problems. And it's kind of irritating to me because in the last 40 to 50 years that I can think back, this city has not lost a home to a wildland fire, period. Because we've had this weed abatement program that's a fuel management program. And I don't know that it should be stated in the general plan, but somehow or another, we're going to have to let the insurance companies know that fact, if you catch my drift, because it's hurting our local real estate sales. And I see it's reflected in the new hazard maps that the state just, put out there. I found out one of the criteria was the actual loss history is looked at to see if that should be in the wildland hazard. And our loss history is, very small to zero. I mean, yes, we had the Thompson fire, but it didn't burn any part of the city.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's ever been done in a planning document to let the underwriters know that, hey, by the way, this happens to be a pretty safe city from wildland fire hazard mitigation. I don't know. It's just a thought process, and somehow or other, we need to help our folks be able to get decent, reasonable fire insurance. And we're getting hit very hard with that issue. And I think we've talked about this on the council before. I don't know how we address it, but it's more irritating from my perspective, knowing that our weed abatement program has reduced the fuels down to a point where, yeah, we're going to have fires, but they're very manageable. And that's been the experience of the city. They like to write us up because we're in the wildland urban interface zone, and that typical, 200 to 600 foot elevations. And yeah, it fits that niche, but at the same time, because we've had this hard date, June 15th, everybody clean your weeds, it's been very successful, and it's kind of like we're not getting credit for it. I don't know, down the line, maybe your planners can think about some way that we can, recognize that fact.
Well, I've mentioned that the Planning Commission has asked us to look at that little bit, getting sort of an incentive for fire-safe design and setting up the right buffer districts in your home and such. And with all the work that's been going on with the new map, and other things, we'll consider having been asked
Yeah.
to start to look into this and see what we can do and talk to insurers as well.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you. Councilman Goodson was in the queue.
I just wanted you to point out the stats that we were given is that home sales have dropped to 53%. That's critical.
Yeah, it's a tough number, and I've heard this from many. Well, we got it from the title company, a report the other day, and so it's not sure why, but maybe there's something we can address to help with that. I'm not sure, how you diagnose that. Any other council questions? Do we have any cards in this item?
Thank you.
We do not, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Wes.
Wes, thank you, sir.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Very
And you can
detailed
use the term Bible
presentation.
or Constitution anytime you like.
I think the
Thank you,
Bible's
Wes.
already taken.
Appreciate the work there. That's a huge volume of work, and it's one of the necessary things. And I will say that some cities are not even close to getting that work done, and we are very grateful to have that work done and prepared. We're way ahead of the game. Item number 9, agreement to 3530 with Our Energy. Amendment, excuse me. Who has that?
This is mine.
Oh, Patrick.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So last year, we signed a contract with Our Energy to do a microgrid grant through PG&E, and they went through the whole process. It was considered a completed application, so PG&E did give us back all of our money, and we were able to keep a little bit of that too, as was the arrangement that we had with them.
Did you repeat that? PG&E gave us back all our money?
They
Just
did.
to
That's what he
repeat that?
said.
Okay.
They did. That was with a completed application, they would give you $25,000. So Our Energy charged us less than that, so we got to keep a little bit of it. We have a project, on the radar is a really large project down in the south side area. When we annexed that area down there, we annexed all of the issues that go along with it, with the lack of infrastructure for the streets, the lack of curb gutter sidewalk, the lack of storm drains, and the lack of lighting. So we had a tour with someone from BCAG not too long ago, staff and Councilmember Goodson that's in her area, and he was recommending that we get an estimate of what the work will cost for all of that infrastructure work. So to have an estimate for that work, then it informs us for how we would go about getting a grant, what kind of grants we might be able to go after, and it prepares us better to be able to apply for a grant and be successful getting that, or applying for that grant. So this agreement here that I brought tonight is an amendment to the Our Energy agreement. They're an engineering firm, not just electrical, and so they can do this work for us. They can come up with the estimate of all of that infrastructure work that I just mentioned, and to look further into some microgrid ideas as PG&E has more grant opportunities coming up. And then they've been working on some other things for us, like we need to look at moving a portion of the solar array that is over at the courtyard, because it encroaches on the easement that is necessary for access to the veterans housing project that's right there. So that's a pretty difficult project. It's out of the depth of anyone on staff to be able to figure out how we move that what we do with those panels. So this agreement will also pay for them to help us figure that out. And that's the end of my presentation. If you have any questions, I'm here.
of Mr. Patrick? Any questions from council? Any cards on this item?
No, Mr. Mayor.
I'd entertain a motion.
Second?
Call the roll.
Thank you, Pat.
Motion
Thank you.
passes unanimously.
All right, thank you. That's it. Then we move to public hearings, none tonight, correct? Public communication, hearing of non-agenda items. Anyone have a non-agenda item they'd like to bring up? Do we have any?
I have no submitted cards.
All right. Next item is future agenda items. Any council member have future agenda item to talk about?
It's on it, okay.
Okay. Any correspondence?
None
None?
received.
All right, folks. Are you ready?
Are you really gonna do it? What? Is he really gonna do it?
Hurry up here. All right, as of 6:03, I'm calling for adjournment of the Orville City Council will be held, next one will be held April 15th, 2025 at 4 PM. We are adjourned.